Hello everyone, welcome to another interview with Ryan. Ryan is the author of RDB Reviews, WordPress.com, and we are talking Looney Tunes. When I find it, Ryan has posted a lot of material since we last spoke.
This is one of the other latest streaming services to join the ranks of Netflix, Amazon and Disney Plus.
HBO, I know them from things like The Sopranos and The Wire and Deadwood, three very good, what's called the golden age of TV was the early 2000s, where HBO set a trend for adult content. They could be very loose with their language and violence and that kind of thing. So it's quite funny to think that Looney Tunes, such a sweet, innocent thing, is on HBO.
Yeah, HBO Max.
Right, the graphic that Ryan has chosen for this one is worth showing. Incredible number of characters from the Looney Tunes universe.
Yeah.
So Ryan says this is a comedy slapstick genre based on the Looney Tunes, developed by Peter Braungart, directed by David Gemmell, Ryan Kramer, Kenny Pittenger, Pete Braungart. Voiced by Eric Bauza, Jeff Bergman, Bob Bergen, Fred Tatasciore. Music by Carl Johnson, Joshua Mosher, and so on. Ryan lists all the credentials for this film. We'll get onto the plot though. So this is Warner Brothers Animation, and it's cartoon shorts featuring cherished characters including Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck, Porky Pig, Sylvester, Tweety, Roadrunner, Wile E. Coyote, Elmer Fudd, Yosemite Sam, I love him, Taz, Marvin the Martian, and Beaky Buzzard. Ryan says, I was very excited for some new Looney Tunes cartoons being made. This was fun, seeing brand new Looney Tunes shorts where I can see them. The pros, the animation for these new shorts were good. The voice acting was solid, and most sounded like the original voices of these characters, and the shorts are short to the point in each episode. The cons, at times this animation might get a bit dated, and it might get hard to find other places to watch more episodes of this show anywhere else before HBO Max service comes to here. What do you mean by that last point, Ryan? Can I just pick up on that?
Sure thing. What I meant was, as of what we are doing this recording now, HBO Max is not available here in the UK yet.
I see what you mean. So you're hoping that there might be other places to stream this particular... Well, did you watch it on HBO yourself? How did you watch it, Ryan?
The first episode, which was basically the first 3 shorts, is on YouTube.
Okay.
And these few shorts as well. But the rest of everything else is on the service, which is not available here at the moment.
So you've been lucky to find the first few episodes for free. Are you thinking of paying for this service, Ryan, or are you going to wait to see if another option comes up?
Well, I will say it's the deal. It's like the most cheap service ever, £14. Yeah, we pretty much said that's enough for these services for the moment.
All right, you've got enough on your plate. You don't need any more. There are many episodes and shorts, you call them, which I really like because they were mini films in their own right. The Warner Brothers animations would play at the cinema before there was TV at home back in the 1940s. People would watch cartoons before they would watch a feature movie with Humphrey Bogart or whatever. And that's really fun to think that adults would go and watch these Looney Tunes as like a feature film on the cinema. So do they feel cinematic or are they definitely made for TV?
Definitely cinematic.
That's great.
Yeah, just like it was back in the old days.
Excellent. Yeah. Maybe, Ryan, cinemas can start playing Looney Tunes again before they play, instead of playing endless car adverts. And, whenever I go to the cinema, I literally sometimes forget what film I've paid to see because they play 15 minutes of advertising, mostly cars.
I know. But,
and then it says, now your feature will play. And I'm like, what am I here to watch? I've forgotten now.
Well, probably has in cinema doesn't really bother me. A commercial for a video game or a movie or advertised for like McDonald's advertising, then why not?
It doesn't faze you. That's fine. I think the thing for me, I don't watch television, so I'm not used to seeing advertising now. It really grates me when I see too much advertising, but I'm just not used to it. So, sorry, I just want to refer back to Looney Tunes. You definitely recommend this. You think this is a good watch?
Yeah, definitely.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and I did say I recommend the first episode and the first few shorts on YouTube and the rest of the series when HBO Max come to here.
Do you know when that will be, or is it another COVID-19 we don't know situation?
Well, question B, yes, I agree with you there.
Okay, everything's uncertain.
Question A is uncertain.
Interesting you mentioned the voices. I wanted to pick on that because I'm a bit of a geek for this, although I forget his name. There was a wonderful guy who did a lot of the Looney Tunes voices, and I really wish his name would come to mind now. But he did Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck, so many characters, Porky Pig. You'd be surprised at how many characters were done by one individual. Ever since, he was doing the voices for Bugs Bunny for about 50 years. And then late 90s, he obviously passed away. But they've had to get voice actors who do good impressions of him to do the characters. Hey, what's up, Duck? Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
So the voice acting is good. You didn't notice the difference?
No, I know. All I can know, I still remember the what's that, Duck?
Yeah.
I get you, baby.
Mel Blanc basically created the Looney Tunes universe through his voice. Much as the animation is fantastic, it's Mel Blanc who brought the characters to life. And he came up with a lot of the catchphrases, stuttering Porky Pig thing, the confidence of Bugs Bunny. And I think he also did Daffy Duck. So whenever you see the two of them bickering, it's just one man talking to himself, basically. It's fantastic.
Oh, I didn't know that. All I know is Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck just going one off and off of each.
They're brilliant. They're such a good comedy duo. You mentioned Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck are both in the new shorts. So if they're new, Ryan, if they're brand new, are they...
Oh, yeah, definitely brand new, all very recent.
Right, the thing is, Mel Blanc is from like the 1940s, so a lot of the comedy that they would introduce into those cartoons was from his lived experience, and the writers, the golden age of animation, it's called, the 1940s. The way Bugs Bunny acts is very much like a 1940s sort of gangster. And obviously it works in the modern age, but are they doing modern things with the characters is what I want to know. Do they use phones or?
Well, for most of what I've seen, at the time being, it looks like it's more as what you recognise from the characters, but like just retooled a bit.
Okay, I'm really interested because they existed in a time in history, and for them to be remade now is fine. It makes me think about The Simpsons. They're still going to be making The Simpsons in 50 years when all the voice actors have died. And it relates so much to a time that no longer exists now. I wonder if Bugs Bunny, if they need to modernize him or if they can keep him exactly as he was in the Looney Tunes universe, which can just be like Who Framed Roger Rabbit. They go to Toontown and you get the impression that Toontown never changes. It's always that style. It doesn't matter if it's 1,000 years in the future. Toontown would always look like that. Yeah, interesting.
Indeed.
Cool. So how do you think you're going to see the rest of them, Ryan? You're going to wait until there's a service?
Well, after the service comes to here,
Yeah.
or just they're going to post them on YouTube.
Okay. And is it the official Warner Media Entertainment? Are they allowing it to be on YouTube, do you think?
Well, yeah. If they or probably they just like falling asleep and someone just mistakenly added them to YouTube.
Maybe we'll even link to them in our description just to get them in trouble. Yeah. That's a really good thing to know. It's comforting to know that Looney Tunes is still being made. Do you have anything else you want to say about this one, Ryan?
I will say, nothing really changed for the characters, really. They characters just what we know and love.
Absolutely. If you don't know them, you will love them. You'll fall in love with them as soon as you watch them. And if you do know them, you know what you're getting.
Because Looney Tunes are just classics.
That's the thing. They're classic, but if they're being remade, it's interesting because anyway, you'll have to see it to know, I think is the point there. But it is an interesting one. I noticed, Ryan, under the voice cast, you've mentioned other characters confirmed to appear include the Gremlin, Petunia Pig, Pete Puma, Cicero Pinky Pig, and the Gas House Gorillas. Several archival recordings of Mel Blanc, so you have mentioned him, are used from numerous miscellaneous characters, such as the tiny Daffies in Bubblegum. Wile E. Coyote appears, but does not speak. Quite right, he shouldn't speak. And Ryan says, I recommend the first episode on YouTube, as well as the first few shorts way before the HBO Max streaming service comes to the UK. How long are these shorts, Ryan? Do you know?
About like 3 minutes each.
Really? So they're very short. Okay. Because sometimes they can be up to 11 minutes or... I just want to mention as well, the gremlin. I might be wrong about this, but there was a cartoon about a gremlin on a bomber plane in the 1940s, which actually inspired Alien, the movie. There was a story about this creature that like tore up the electrics of the plane whilst they were flying back, and they couldn't find it. And I think it might have begun, the concept of the gremlin. It was a World War II myth, the gremlin, but it might have first become a thing on the screen in a Looney Tunes cartoon. So I'm interested to know if the gremlin is to do with that or if it's a different character I'm thinking of. But you'll have to wait and see.
Okie dokie.
Yeah.
So yeah, right now, we done with that.
Okay, yeah, moving on.
To a PlayStation 3 video game, which is WWE Legends of WrestleMania.
PS3 Legends of WrestleMania. These are quite iconic looking characters on the front. You've got Andre the Giant, you've got Hulk Hogan, you've got a very young looking Dwayne Johnson in the back.
Yeah, and Stone Cold did not.
Yeah. I never watched Stone Cold wrestle, but he's so famous. You and other people will talk about Stone Cold at Level Best Art Cafes. That's how I know about him, and that he's bold. That's all I know about him. So this is PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360. Its release dates were basically the end of March 2009. Ryan says, the gameplay is a beat-em-up wrestling game. I enjoyed the game where I did on my first day. I just got a PS3 console on my birthday years ago, but I didn't play it that much. So you got this game when you got a PS3. It came out pretty quick.
My first game. It was this one and video game of Disney film Up.
I've still not seen Up. You mentioned it a few times, and wanting to catch up.
Brilliant.
I know, there's so much, Ryan. When I find the time, when I retire, I will watch all Disney. So, Ryan says the roster for the game, it features 38 playable characters by default and 4 non-playable managers. Players could extend the roster by choosing the Import WWE SmackDown vs. Raw 2009 option on the menu bar. So you can import, an infinite number of characters or just...
from that game. Into this.
Right.
If you can available to do online.
Yeah.
I think like you charge it into online somehow. I don't know how, but probably you'll find a way if you find out the videos on YouTube about it.
If you're interested in playing this game and getting more characters into this game, Ryan provides a link in his review that you can follow and see how to do that. That's interesting because this is the beginning of cloud-based gaming, I suppose. Still the early 21st century. I never played games that it required you to log in. I understand Xbox does this, where you can't just plug it into a TV and play it. You need to log in to your Microsoft account and go through a whole bunch of palaver. Yeah. I don't like the sound of that at all. I think if you buy a game, you should just be able to play it without having to be in touch with the corporation that released it. But that's just me. Ryan says this option we were just talking about would import most of the male characters from SVR09 into the game. Unlockable characters would only be available if they had been previously unlocked. However, female and downloadable content characters could not be imported. Each imported character had a unique move set designed specifically for the WWE Legends of WrestleMania game. These movesets became available automatically in the Create a Moves Set mode. This function required the SVR09 game to be loaded onto the console's internal memory. However, once imported, the characters remained permanently unlocked in WWE Legend WrestleMania. Players did not need to retain the SVR09 game files on the internal memory in order to retain the SVR09 characters. Big Daddy V, Chuck Palumbo, Elijah Burke, Hornswoggle, Lance Cade, Masked Man, Paul London, Tony and Trevor Murdoch could not be imported. Fair enough. So that's...
just let me know before we continue on.
Yep.
These are probably characters or wrestlers were in the game, were around during between late 2007 and 2008.
They would have been brand new wrestling characters for this game.
Like very near between that level, yeah.
I can understand why they were extra characters then, because if it's Legends of WrestleMania, and WrestleMania goes back, doesn't it? WrestleMania is like a 90s thing or even an 80s thing. So the game is mostly about these legendary characters like Andre the Giant.
They are definitely the focal point of this game, which is all the classic WrestleMania arenas from WrestleMania 1 all the way to 15.
Wow.
And sadly, no 16, 17 or 18, sadly.
Okay, but again, you've mentioned 38 playable characters off the bat, plus 15 WrestleMania characters. That's a lot, Ryan. For me, that's a lot of characters to play.
Yeah, which is like all the characters from WrestleMania history. Look, the legends you could possibly think of the top of your head when you were growing up. Hulk Hogan, Big John Studd, Big Boss Man.
Mm-hmm.
Sadly, no Randy Savage. Sadly.
Yeah, that's a shame. I would love to play.
Mr. Perfect.
Yeah.
Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, The Undertaker. Sadly, you only got the early 19th version of The Undertaker.
Is he still wrestling? I have to ask, is The Undertaker still wrestling?
Yes, but not too much.
Not too much. He's got a bit of a bad back. He can only body slam you with one arm. Yeah.
And sadly, Hulk Hogan's retired.
We mentioned Hulk Hogan before. I just thought The Undertaker, obviously him and Hogan had this amazing face-off back in the 90s, early 90s. I remember it really well. It was terrifying. Paul Bearer kept talking about how he's going to bury Hulk Hogan. And the build-up to that was incredible. The Undertaker, so terrifying, because he's about 8 foot tall and he could lift people off the ground by one hand, you know. He does to Hogan at one point in the match, and as a kid, I must have been like 6. I was like, no, Hulk, kick him in the groin, do something. But to think that he's still wrestling, I don't know how old he'd be. Probably in his 60s.
He'll be 60 now.
Yeah.
The poor lad.
I mean, if you're big and tall, then you can get away with it. He doesn't need to do lots of fancy moves, probably.
Yeah. And also in this game, you've got some colourful ones as well, like Coco Beware.
Not heard of them.
Oh, the one with the bird.
Okay. I picture some kind of peacock
and
dress.
And they've got like some managers in here, like Bobby the Brain Eaton, Jimmy Hall, Paul Bearer, with a now.
Paul Bearer is terrifying.
Yeah, pretty much. But that doesn't do too much.
Maybe he's...
like some special features. Like, example, Paul Bearer, like, holding the urn to get Undertaker's power to Hulk up.
Very much so. Yeah. I think it's wonderful. Having watched Glow, and you get a feel for how they invent these characters, these individuals, because they all invent their own characters, really clever. But the staying power of these legends is incredible, isn't it? Because you imagine a wrestler might have to change their identity quite a few times in order to keep their career fun. But if you're The Undertaker, you're The Undertaker. It's like being Spock in Star Trek. You don't need to do anything else.
Or if you're The Rock.
Yeah.
You're The Rock. You play
you don't
The
need
Rock.
To be brand. Yeah.
Yeah. Which you still have their old classic theme songs.
Okay.
Like Hulk Hogan's Real America theme.
I can't remember them, but they used to be so classic. It was integral. I remember the Ultimate Warriors one, because that was just a full-on thrash metal, and he just run into the ring, wasting all his energy, shaking the rope.
And they had, like, old one, they got ones of, like, before, like, they became stars, like, Triple H's old gimmick of Utter First Helmsley.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. All that, like that.
Yeah, it's funny to think why wrestling came out of my life. It might have been that I went off to college and then, you know...
Me, 2002.
That's when you got into it, was it?
Yes.
Okay, because I was watching it from like 1988. I mean, not that I remember it too clearly. I'm just aware that I was watching wrestling into the 90s. And then it's not that I grew out of it because it's always going to be fun. Life just got in the way. But I love talking wrestling with you.
That's good. That's
It
good.
brings it back.
Enjoying life.
Yeah. So we're talking about this PS3 game. Ryan has a lot more to say about it. As ever, we'll put the link to Ryan's review in the description for this video.
Yeah.
And I urge you to have a look at this, because if you're a wrestling fan, Ryan holds no buzz. He's put everything that you could think to. In fact, he's even got images of some of the wrestlers.
Oh, yeah.
Diesel, I remember him.
Those images are ones they are sadly not in the game.
Oh, I see. So can you explain these images in your review, Ryan? Are they just there for the fan?
Yeah, but when I said to the comments here, if you could read them, it's ones they are missing out.
So Ryan says, some of the character models were a bit off to me, and they are missing out a few more wrestlers from WrestleMania history. So it's not even a good covering of the legends for you. There were a lot more legendary names they missed out.
Yeah, like Sample, Diesel.
Yeah, I remember him.
Ricky the Dragon Steamboat from 1987.
I think I remember him. Yeah. Obviously, I have to show him off. You've got some great characters there, but... Macho Man!
Oh, yeah.
Who always sounds like he needs to cough. Yeah. He's bonkers. He's so good. He's such an insane character.
And I got one like Kane.
Yeah, I remember him.
Owen Hart.
Mankind, I'm thinking of. For some reason, I have his autobiography. A friend gave it to me. It's a huge book.
I got it. I got their hit and misses DVDs and everything else.
As we talked about with the dark side of wrestling, just want to say quick, the stories behind the people, behind the characters is fascinating. If you're not a big fan of the wrestling, you can see the drama behind the life of the people that do it's really interesting stuff. For the pros, so positive about this game, Ryan says they nailed the presentation of the old school WrestleMania feel. You can relive classic WrestleMania moments, rivalries and matches. And the other best part of this game as well is that you can play all of the characters from the SmackDown vs. Raw 2009 game. In this game, you can play and create dream matchups. It's kind of like the Looney Tunes thing. I just want to make a connection. You've got all the classic historic characters. And then for them, what the modern contemporary wrestlers as well, they're all coming together.
Yeah, like sample, like different generations in one game. If you manage to find a way to do that, like sample, Underverse Elstree versus Triple H, or having two Undertakers fight each other.
That's good. They can both lift each other off the ground, and then no one's on.
Or The Rock, or two complete different versions of The Rock.
Who would win, Ryan, between Andre the Giant and Stone Cold? Because obviously they never would have met.
Well, probably Andre the Giant, because he's too big of a man.
Good man. Yeah, respect. Andre the Giant not only was he a great wrestler, he was a wonderful human being. Did a lot of charity. Really sweet with the fans. He passed before his time.
Yeah, my God.
He's celebrated in this game and a whole bunch of other stuff.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay, so PS3 and Xbox 360, and that is 11 years old now, this game, but it still plays well.
Yeah. Now we're going to, by the way, there's like old wrestling pay-per-views here, but...
Oh, can I just say, I'm really chuffed that you've seen and reviewed Defy Blood, Spike Lee movie. I watched that recently. I think it's really good.
Yeah, me too.
Very topical, as ever. Sorry, you were saying?
Oh, yeah. Don't worry about it. This one is South Park Season 19.
I love that you put the year that it came out, Ryan. So 2015 now, South Park Season 19. So we're getting more into the contemporary timeline of politics, the kind of things that we're still dealing with now. It's almost like, in my mind, pre-2015 was almost like this, I don't know, things seemed a lot more sensible to me then. Like 2015 is when Donald Trump declared his election. So-called Islamic State were rampaging all over the Middle East. There were horrible things happening in 2015. And it makes me think I want to go back to before then. Anyway, sorry, Ryan. Politics aside.
So
we are talking
this one was amazing.
Excellent. So that's the graphic, if I haven't shown it already. It is animated sitcom and comedy drama, created by Trey Parker and Matt Stone, developed by Brian Graydon. The plot: South Park is as fearless and uncensored as ever, following Stan, Kyle, Cartman, and Kenny as they try to inject sanity into their unhinged town. Watch as Mr. Garrison goes political, Randy goes PC, and the residents of South Park go way too far yet again. Ryan says, I was looking forward to watching this season for the first time. This new season of South Park was amazing. Pros: the format for this season had changed so much, which was well done. Mr. Garrison goes through a transformation from a school teacher to a residential candidate. PC Principal was so fascinating to see how this character will go next season. There's a lot of cursing in this season. Some of the other supportive and side characters do get a lot more screen time. The season felt more like a drama instead of a comedy. The social commentary was so good and makes you understand what was going to happen to the characters and to the town. On the negative, Ryan says there was less Cartman drama, which this season needs the most. At times, this season can go too far in certain moments, and I wish the ending could have been better. Ryan highly recommends this on Netflix, Amazon Prime, DVD, Blu-rays, or old seasons and episodes on the Sky Q box. Rating 10 out of 10. So it sounds like, Ryan, this was a really good series for you.
Yeah, definitely with Mr. Garrison trying to be like slowly like trying to run for president.
Does he start in 2015, his presidential run then?
Yes, in his craziness.
Yeah.
It's a stage you probably like he just pissed off. PC Principal Sashery to the school. Actually, be honest, back the first episode the series kicked off with a bang with PC Principal because the actual school principal has got fired, which is spoiler free.
You mentioned that the episode is about a new principal coming in, so I'm guessing the old one has to go out in that case.
Yeah, which is PC Principal, which was a wonderful change of pace. Have an actual grown adult, have a physical like adult actually at the new school principal for a change.
Yeah.
Which is like coming with the slagger. Minute. Like said the word douche. That's a new for me.
It's not a big insult in the UK, it's American.
And he literally clean house.
Excellent.
They talk about like more like minorities. Like, why there's no more minorities in this school.
South Park has token for a reason, because it is a very white bread town, which I don't think the makers considered when they first started making South Park. I don't think they were interested in representation of minorities in South Park. It was just about the kids. But as it's evolved into this political satire, they obviously need to comment on these things. And it's very prescient now with the Black Lives Matter movement. There are a lot of underrepresented jobs. But they're making fun of political correctness.
And they did some callbacks from previous seasons as well. Like the time where they actually called Cartman called off for Cartman's behaviour.
Where do you start with Cartman?
Nothing but so. Yeah, that's why main criticisms is there's not a lot of drama in Woody Cartman this season.
Yeah.
Other than started showing like careness for his friends a lot and probably the community.
So maybe they're trying to flesh out the character, make it so that he's actually not a complete so-and-so. He's got a nice... Because you were talking about the school, is Mr. Mackey still the guidance counsellor?
Well, yeah, but a lot of times he's more like doing PC Principal's like fitting.
Well, I was going to say, because he's all, don't do drugs, okay, Mr. Mackey?
Yeah, he's still got that like flair.
Yeah.
Like the top of appearance from him, yeah.
He was almost like the PC correct character getting it wrong, I suppose. Before So I can imagine them being a good double act. So, Ryan, you didn't mention any episodes specifically in your review, but you just said the whole series is amazing. So you said it got off to a bang with PC Principal.
Yeah.
Are there any other highlights through the series that you want to mention now?
Yeah, PC Principal, like, seeing Cartman get what coming to him finally. Years being a complete arse.
Yeah, he, I
Like,
mean, obviously it's a cartoon, and I don't suppose there's ramifications that carry on, but it's nice to see someone telling Cartman off, probably.
yeah, like, women beating him up so bad. Yeah,
Okay, not sure about that.
That, they did not show, like, what the freak about it. PC Principal, which it ties into an actual about, like, instead of building up bigger, like, show, taking over the whole town, which it all lead up to a big conspiracy about the South Park getting taken over by evil corporate. I won't spoil. And one of the most funniest lines is actually Mr. Garrison tried to run for President of the United States.
I mentioned this in episodes ago, our episodes, where the last episode I saw of South Park was Mr. Garrison being interviewed about his run for office. And it's brilliant because it's just clips of him declaring that he's...
Tried to, like, shake hands with the people, like, get on their side.
Yeah.
And just go up on national television saying, yes, let's just put the people to death. Let's make the country play again.
If you want to quote him, yeah, he does say, which is great because it's basically cutting through the nonsense of Donald Trump. But that's what Donald Trump is saying is, I'm going to do horrible things to all these people, these immigrants and these foreigners. And Mr. Garrison is playing that character. And then the interviewer does a calculation. And it's like, you've promised to F something like 10 million people. How are you going to do this in your first 100 days? It's like...
But when you get to season 20, you do, like, still feel sympathetic for him. He's way out of his league.
Yeah.
He's way out of his league. Like, many years I was a school teacher. Now I'm running for president.
Anyone would be more qualified than the current president of the USA. But Mr. Garrison is a perfect character to choose for that because he's all gung-ho. They've done a lot of interesting things with Mr. Garrison. He transformed into a woman at one point. He had this amazing relationship with Mr. Hat, the hand puppet, and very interesting character. They have a lot of fun with him.
Yeah, which they killed him off.
Don't tell me that, Ryan. Oh, Mr. Hat, you mean?
Oh, yeah, Mr. Hat, yes.
Okay, yeah.
Yes.
Fair enough. He had a good run.
Yeah. And so, yeah, like, he's completely out of his league. He can't trust himself. He's entered into a panic mode when he was running away from anti-Trump protesters. Definitely women. Trying to run off in order to sell. Garrison had to run back into school and just run off. Hope he never get hustled by this group of protesters.
Does he become president then, Mr. Garrison?
Yes.
Okay, does that mean that he leaves South Park or does he come back? Because you just mentioned he comes being chased by protesters. But...
we just leave that till when we get to 20.
Okay, I'm excited, Ryan. I want to know what South Park... I want to know what they're saying about the years 2016 to now because, they're bonkers.
The town is getting all these new stuff, like getting new shops, new restaurants, new minorities, like, coming into the town. The Canadians, the Japanese, not Canadians, Canadians and people from other lengths of colour, like, coming into the town, and surely some of them do get less than they get time in the spotlight, but not take a focus away off the actual characters they spend years building up to.
Okay, so our main characters are still the focal point, but they're allowing a wider interest in characters. They're not all just bit parts. They're getting stories of their own.
So basically it's a change of format.
Interesting.
Instead of, like, taking episodes to, like, each episode focus on a different topic, which they spent for the last 18 years doing. All that is dropped and decided to do a new format, which is basically like every single television show, which is at the show focus on main one, like, cohesive story.
Okay, interesting. I wanted to ask, Ryan.
Yep.
Sorry, I'm burning to ask you because I haven't seen South Park in many years, and I was a fan from the 1990s. Do you think if you're someone who hasn't seen South Park in like 15 years, would you still find it fun now? I guess what I'm asking is, would it confuse you? If you watch South Park now, would you need to have watched series 7 to 15 or to 20 in order to understand number 20? Or can you just jump in anywhere, do you think?
I think you can. I think you can jump into 19. Let me explain it this way.
Okay.
I think series 1 to 18, I like to call it a topic era.
Okay, topical, yeah.
Topical era. And in 19 all the way to 23, at this point, it's more back to a new traditional level of, like, each season focus on one cohesive story.
Okay, interesting. I will have to see that because I'm a fan of South Park from the original format. So I'll have to see how it differs. But I'm really thank you, Ryan, because I'm really interested to know how South Park has changed over its 20-year lifespan. And that's really helped me understand how they've bracketed, like, 1 to 18, and from now on it's this other thing.
Okay. But it still has some what makes South Park what it is.
Yeah,
like,
good.
Like political satire and the characters as well.
Yeah.
And basically the town themselves. How they sometimes play ball.
I want to make this point, Ryan, if I can. When South Park started, it was quite a quiet political climate. You still had Bill Clinton in the White House. September the 11th hadn't happened. It was almost quite a boring landscape for politics. And so they had fun with meta and making fun of culture. But right now, my God, there's never been a more interesting time in my life for politics. And there's no point satirizing Donald Trump anymore because he is the satire. There's no point trying to do comedy about him. He's a joke. Exactly. So it must be quite tough almost for Trey Parker and Matt Stone to think, how do we make fun of this when it's already so stupid and funny? That's really interesting for me. See. I might have to get back into South Park just to see how they're actually making it even more stupid or more funny.
Yeah, which I like to call it the new era of South Park.
And does that mean that they're happily continuing? I haven't really asked this point, but they're still making South Park, are they?
Well, yeah, they are continuing. Like, it still has the same continuity like the other shows, the building shows. You still have the same characters. They spent 2 decades building up for years. Like that Irish series. Stan is, well, Stan.
Stan's what's called a WASP, a white Anglo-Saxon person.
Yeah, well, yeah, pretty much. Thank you very much. Cartman is still a dude.
Cartman's trash.
Thank you. Kenny is still Kenny. And Jimmy's still handicapped. And so is Timmy.
Yeah.
And everyone else is, every other kid is still the same.
That's good, because the kids, as we said as well, the kids are the sensible heads. They're the ones that fix the problems and tell the audience what moral, righteous thing to do is. So we don't need them changing. Whereas Randy, Mr. Garrison, these characters can turn into all sorts of things because that's fun.
Like Samples, our mum could be a serial killer.
Yeah. Oh, I can picture that, definitely. What? So, Ryan, thank you very much. Lovely chatting. I'll catch up with your mum. Bye.
Weekend, yeah. Bye.
Bye.